Good afternoon, everyone. Welcome to RunnerEDQ's webinar titled Bi-Monthly Updates, the How-To Guide. Today, we're going to be joined by Lynn Sosby, our technical support engineer, along with Tristan Smith, our core build administrator for Clean Address. We will be moderated by our success manager here at RunnerEDQ, Misty Wilmore. So just use our chat box, folks. You should see a chat box that you'll be enabled to enter your questions in. As we receive those questions, they will be answered in the order they're received at the end. We do have some time scheduled to answer any questions that you may have regarding what you're seeing regarding this presentation on the bi-monthly updates. This is scheduled for 45 minutes. Again, anybody that has any hard stops, this will be recorded, so therefore you will have the ability to access anything that you may miss, and of course, distribute this amongst your own peers or associates for any reference material that you may have regarding the things that are presented here. My name is Eric Paillet. I'm the marketing manager here at RunnerEDQ, and again, thank you for taking your time today to spend with us to listen to this webinar. So with no further ado, because we do want to keep to our schedule of 45 minutes, I am going to move forward with this presentation. And again, thank you again for joining us. So a little bit about us. You guys obviously are all customers here at RunnerEDQ, and again, we thank you very much for being a valued customer. We are an Oracle shop along with an Ellucian shop and a couple of other integrations we have, including Salesforce and Microsoft Dynamics and a few others. But that's where we lie, and we do pride ourselves for having that integration that you guys are currently using and leveraging every day for your own applications. And obviously, you guys all are receiving that value from it. And as those processes and business processes that you currently leverage hopefully are becoming more efficient because of the product and solutions that we offer. So today's webinar, just a quick overview on some of the notes. This webinar will cover the bi-monthly updates specifically for the Linux platform. Tristan's going to talk along with Lynn about those specificities. The steps are very similar to the Windows platform. However, there are some differences. The installer for the Windows for Clean Address 5 is a GUI. AIX and HPUX are slightly different due to the age of the platform and can be covered in questions at the end of the presentation. Again, regardless of what platform you guys are on, we will definitely answer those questions, again, in the order they're received, and please feel free to put those questions in the chat box, and Misty will handle them accordingly. And again, we will answer them in the order they're received at the end of this presentation. So in today's agenda, we're going to cover applying the bi-monthly updates with Clean Address. We're definitely going to cover some of the gotchas and common issues that you may be experiencing on your end, and hopefully the answers that we give today and some of the things that we show you may enable you to avoid some of those issues, or at least get past them if you incur some of those problems. And then ultimately, we're going to open this thing up for some questions and some answers with our expert team here. So right off the bat, we're going to hand this over to Tristan, our core Clean Address developer, and again, this is going to cover the bi-monthly update demo. Tristan?
Okay. Hello, everyone. I'm Tristan. I work for Runner as the core build systems administrator. I'm going to showcase you exactly how we do the bi-monthly updates internally. Now, right now, we're essentially going to launch a terminal, launch up a Firefox instance. This is so we can test the web services. Now, it wouldn't matter which version of CleanAddress you use. It's all the same. We just right now using the web services for the fact that it's easier to showcase when it runs or whatnot. Okay, so here I'm just going to go to the localhost port. Normally it's 8097, and then we're going to pull the WSDL so we can see the application is running currently. So once this is all finished, I'll pull back over to the terminal, and we'll log in as Clean Address, and then we'll initiate with the update. So we did see it was operational right now. We do want to turn off Clean Address before we continue to update it. So I'm going to go ahead and change directory to the bin folder and run the stop script, which is provided with your install of Clean Address. It did say it's successfully stopped. We'll double check it with the web browser. It is stopped. So right now, Clean Address is no longer running, meaning we can continue with the actual upgrade. Now I'm also going to run pgrep here. Normally it outputs an ID if there is still running, and right now it's not. We're going to go ahead and cd to the bin directory Clean Address and just confirm the version of Clean Address we have running right now. Right now I'm just running the Clean Address WS. Oops. Yeah, sorry about that. Let's get back to where we were. Give me 1 second. Okay, so right here, we're confirming the current version of Clean Address and the current build of Clean Address. Right now, you see it's running build 3205, and that's just for the address check and DPV stuff. Going forward, we're doing this to make sure that when we do the upgrade, that we can confirm that the data files have been changed. So, as you see right now, we're running Clean Address Web Service build 4.5, built May 5th, 2017. That's the normal one you get when you run Clean Address by default, or when you install it by default. So double checking everything, making sure the build numbers are correct. Going forward, we're going to CD to our downloads to the release. This was last month's release, but double checking that everything already is correct. We have Linux, which contains the USPS data and the DPV data, and then we're going to double check that the Clean Address home is set. Now, this is normally set when you source the cron profile, which is contained in the bin folder of your Clean Address install. Normally, you go about editing it to make sure your home is set. Showcasing here that if we continue this, when I run this command, it should echo out where the installation home is in Clean Address, which is right now in home cleanaddr Clean Address. I'm going to go ahead and copy it. This is for future. And I'm going to run the installer, which is provided with Clean Address. And I'm going to go ahead and hit no here and just paste in the directory I have it. Now, this will be unique based on your installation. If you ran with the defaults, you would just hit yes and continue over. This installer will blindly copy over everything from the package into the Clean Address home. That includes your executables, your configuration INIs, and your data files. Now, this means if you're running Clean Address 5.0x or any variation of Clean Address, if you're running 64-bit or 32-bit, it will default back to 4.5 32-bit here. A little ways on, we're going to showcase how we overwrite that and go back to 4.5 64-bit and then ultimately to 5.0. So once we hit yes in the installation, it'll begin, and then it'll start copying files over. We're going to go and skip ahead on this. Okay, so the installer is now complete. We're going to go ahead and go back to the Clean Address bin directory. Well, we do have to modify the cron profile too, which I'm going to showcase here. So, like I said, when you do the install, it will blindly overwrite the configuration. So here I'm just reapplying my custom home. That's all I really need to do. Then I will go ahead and run Clean Address to double check. So right here is one of the first common gotchas. Like I said, when you run the installer, it will overwrite everything. And our installer defaults to 32-bit for at least in Linux and Windows. With the 64-bit Linux, you cannot run 32-bit libraries unless you install the compatibility libraries. Here is an error code pretty much stating that it can't run 32-bit. So what we need to do is essentially go back one directory up into the home and then go into the 64-bit directory and just copy over the binaries and libraries. So we're confirming they're in there. Then we're going to do a CP with verbose to move it back up to the directory, to the bin directory. This will write everything that is required to run the 64-bit Clean Address. Let me go back into the bin and then just double check to confirm Clean Address is working. So here's also another common gotcha. We only updated the address files here. Notice we do have DPV and address files. Now DPV will actually give you an error if you have it installed, if the address files and DPV are not the same month. This is a requirement of our application for the pure fact that the addresses can change and then delivery points will no longer be verified. So here you can see right after the initialization of modules, alert DPV data tables are out of date. We can confirm a couple of things here. The build date did change. It is now 3224 instead of the original, which was 3204, I do believe. So we can confirm the data files were updated, but now we need to go back and update the DPV files. So let's go ahead and do that now. We'll essentially double check, make sure that the version is right. So again, it will overwrite whatever version of Clean you have installed. So that means if you're running 5.0, it'll go back to 4.5. We confirm that. And then we confirm the build date and that the DPV files are aired out right now. So we're going to go back to the downloads folder where you keep, or where the DPV data file is staged right now. And normally this directory doesn't contain any kind of installer. We'll just go into the data files directory and just copy over all the data files into the CleanAdder data dir. Now again, these variables you see me type in here, they're defined in the cron profile. So make sure you source your cron profile, make sure that's actually properly set up, and then you can have this ease with CD and using these variables. So right now we already went ahead and copied over the data files into the correct folder location. And then we will go back to the bin folder and double check and confirm everything is running. So you see me here, go back to the bin folder and go to the home bin. Confirm all the files are there, then we go ahead and run CleanAdder WS again. And as you can see there, the DPV error code is gone. So we can now confirm that we fixed the DPV error code, which is, again, a very common gotcha. We've confirmed that the build dates are now the proper version for this one. They've upped since our last one's case 3.2.2.4. And we've also installed 64-bit 4.5. That's the normal install done. So now we're going to go ahead and install, at this point, CleanAddress 5.0.4. So let's go ahead and get that ready. Now, with the current releases of CleanAddress, we ship the release 5.0 alongside the normal files. So if you look into your extracted directory, you'll find a folder called release 5.0. You see here, I'm highlighting to make sure. In there, you will find an installer script, the binaries, and a README file if you wish to look over this using text. We're just going to run the install script right now. It will, by default, find the CleanAddress home and then copy over the proper binary. So for example, if you're running CleanAddress 4.5 64-bit, it will find that you're running 64-bit and copy over only the 64-bit binaries. It will also do a backup. So you will find a new zip file in your bin directory called bk_4.5. This will work on all platforms, for example, for Linux. Now, the only exception here is Windows. We provide a GUI interface to update from 4.5 to 5.0, which will handle the exact same thing, just with a prettier interface, pretty much. And that's it. Now remember, you also require to source the cron file here because we need to know where CleanAddress home is. If we define it in the cron profile, the script can find it. So we're going to go ahead and confirm that we've installed 5.0. So we're going to go right back to the bin directory of CleanAddress and then run CleanAddress WS again. Now again, this could be any version of CleanAddress. I'm using WS because it's an ease of use for me. So here we confirmed that the version has bumped from 4.5 to version 5.0.4, which is built September 4th, 2018. This version will change each month. We're using this as an example for how we update it. The build date for the address check is still right, 3.2.2.4, and like I said, the address or CleanAddress version is 5.04. So now we've successfully updated 4.5 bi-monthly. We've updated 4.5 to 5.0 beta, and then we also have a couple of gotchas and gone over that. So now we've confirmed that everything's installed, running, and with the right versions, nothing's erroring out. We're going to go ahead and restart the web services. Now, the script provided will do all this for us. So go ahead and let's start the script here right now. This will start up a bunch of headless CleanAddress WS instances for us automatically. And then I will go back to Firefox to just double check everything's working, and that is refreshing the page. Now we got the WSDL response back, and that means CleanAddress 5.0 has been installed without an issue. So that goes over the big chunk of the updates. It is relatively simple. That video alone was roughly 5 minutes, if not. And some of the gotchas were covered in there. So yeah, that's pretty much it for my part.
All right, thanks, Tristan, and hopefully there were some tidbits that you guys all picked up from Tristan's presentation. At this point, I'm going to hand this presentation over to Lynn. Lynn is going to cover some of the other gotchas in common issues that may be experienced out there. And of course, at this point, I'm going to pass this webinar over to Lynn for her part of the presentation on gotchas and common issues. Go ahead, Lynn.
Hi, this is Lynn. Okay, so some of these gotchas Tristan has mentioned when he was going through the demo. So again, anything that you have configured in your INI file will be lost during the install. So you need to make sure that you go back and you add those back into your configuration in your INI file, in your cron profile as well. Also, if you have already upgraded to 5X and you are applying the bi-monthly, it will revert everything back to 4.5 if you are not careful in just copying the data files. So also, if you're an AIX customer that's on 5X, there may be some RPM issues. You may see some of these error messages that's listed here, like cannot load the program, dependent issues. Then you may be required to use the workaround that's provided for you with the packages. And this is on our support site. If you can go in there and look up that, there's a solution in there that workaround for the AIX people.
To kind of open up a little bit more on this particular issue, the build machine we used for AIX was upgraded between 4.5 and 5.0, and that pushed some of the versions we used up a little bit. The file you see here in the error, libstd C++, it's the standard library we use for our program. It's included with most GCC stuff. Now, the RPM that we're talking about here, AIX can install an RPM, and the article on the Freshdesk on our support portal will showcase how to do it and how to remove it and whatnot. This RPM is also included with the AIX zip. It's normally CleanAdder libraries, I believe, in the root of the zip, and you can run the installer once and then modify your cron profile according to the support article to support it. Now, this is only for 5.0. If you're running 4.5, you do not need to do this solution. If you intend to go from 4.5 to 5.0, you need to do this. If you need to move from 5.0 back to 4.5, you need to remove the RPM file, which the support article will go over, and then you can run 4.0 without an issue. The libraries this package includes is not compatible with 4.5, which is why it's a separate file. Otherwise, you would have put it in the bin file like we normally do. So,
all right, thanks, Tristan. Lynn?
Okay, so this is what Tristan was talking about earlier about reverting back to 4.5. If you currently are already on 5X, then when you get these bi-monthly updates, you don't want to copy everything over. You don't want to copy all those executables over, or it will revert you back to 4.5. So basically what you want to do is you're going to want to copy your data files from your Linux or whatever version platform you're on into your clean address data file home directory. The same thing for the DPV. You just want to copy the data files over and then restart the clean address daemon. Otherwise, you will be reverting back to 4.5, which defeats the purpose of what you're trying to do. So you want to move forward, not backward. Another common error that you will see, as Tristan showed you, was the DPV error. You'll get this alert where it says the table out of dates or DPV data files not found. This means that your DPV is not in sync with your USPS files. So you just need to make sure that you do copy those over as Tristan showed you so that the dates are synced up for both your DPV and your USP files. Oh, sorry. Yeah, so what you will get is you get bi-monthly updates. This is offered to you every 2 months. As you can see, the last one you got was in October. The next bi-monthly will come out in December. Here's the schedule of how they're normally released. We normally send out a reminder a few weeks before the files are released to let you know that, hey, the data files are going to be expiring soon. We're going to send you new files with new passwords, so be sure that you get them updated so that your clean address does not expire. Okay, and this is just a summary basically of what Tristan did in the demo, just a quick rundown of the steps. So basically, you know, we have done this before. You're going to download and unzip your USPS and DPV files as delivered into a staging area or your download directory. Make sure all the daemons are stopped. Check to see where your clean address home is located. Make sure that you know what your directory is, because you'll have to use that if you use the installer, which is going to override all your configuration. Be sure that if you're running on 64, that you copy your bin 64 into your bin in your clean address home, and to copy your DPV data files. That way you won't get that DPV missing error that you're talking about. And then you can restart the daemon. Now, if you're going to upgrade to 5 from here, you'll just navigate to your release 5 directory, and you're going to run the installer in there, which will stop your daemon and back up your 4.5 for you. And then you can restart the daemon and go into your web browser and check to make sure it's running like Tristan showed you. And that's pretty much the steps. Like he said, it's very quick. It only took him like 5 minutes to do it, so.
All right, thanks, Lynn, and hopefully that's answered some of the questions that are out there already that you may have had. So right now, at this point, we are going to open this up for questions and answers because of the amount of time that we have allotted here. We tried to consolidate as much as we could in the front part of this particular presentation, and I'm sure a lot of you folks have questions, and I'm sure at this point we're going to have a lot of them. So what we'd like to do is open this up through our moderator, Misty, and of course, these questions will be opened up to both Lynn and Tristan with respect to some of the questions that are coming in. And of course, at this point, I'm going to pass this on to Misty, who is our success manager here, so that we can start going through the questions one at a time, and these will be answered in the order they received. And again, if you have any questions along the way, just feel free to put them in the chat box. At this point, Misty, go ahead.
Hi, our first question is from Bridget, and she asks, is the bi-monthly applied twice a month or every 2 months? And then she has a second question that said, do we have to upgrade to 5.0 or 5X in order to begin applying the bi-monthly update?
The bi-monthly updates are released every other month, every 2 months, pretty much. You're not required to apply it twice a month. So now you are not required to upgrade to 5.0X or 5X to use the bi-monthly updates, although we are adding in features to 5.0, which will make use of newer files that we are going to be delivering down the line for 5.0. We will try to keep 4.5 in a supported state for as long as possible, but there is no guaranteed thing for that. So, next question.
Our next question is for Roger. And when you were doing the install steps, he just said locate setup.
Locate setup.
And Roger, let me see if I see you still on the call. I may actually try to gain a little bit more clarification. Hold on one moment. Hey, Roger, okay, I do see you here still on the call. Do you mind possibly unmuting your line and provide us just a little bit more insight on what you meant by locate setup? Okay, looks like I haven't seen a response from Roger as of yet. If I do see you respond further down in the chat, then we'll definitely go back to that question. All right, and so our next question is from Rafi. He said he normally runs cleanzip.ini after every DPV update. Is this needed?
Again, that I used CleanAdder WS because it's what I'm more familiar with, and I can showcase it in the web browser when it's running. You could use any version of CleanAddress. It includes CleanZip, CleanAddrD, CleanAdder WS, CleanFile, whichever you're more comfortable with. I use it because it's easier for me to show it working, and I can guarantee it worked on my virtual machine I did the recording on. So.
Right. Our next question is from David, and he said, I thought that updating each month was not a new install, but using the copy_postal.sh script.
You are correct. It is not a new install, but I usually do the new installs for the pure fact that it alleviates some of the issues with our libraries. Occasionally, our releases of the binaries come with new libraries, new shared objects. And those objects do change from time to time, and then sometimes if we keep them old enough and then we have the data files, odd issues start happening, crashes, seg faults, that kind of thing. It's a much safer bet to just reinstall the application essentially and then copy over the new data files and upgrade to 5.0. In the future, something we do intend on doing is improving our install script to not overwrite files, for example, the INI files and whatnot. So you guys don't have to worry about losing your configuration settings or anything set in those files.
All right, and our next question is from Seth, and he said on Linux x64, if we are on 4.5, are we not supposed to run the copy_postal_data.sh after copying data files and DTV files?
Again, those scripts are there mainly for legacy reasons. We do use them in documentation, but again, it's far safer to just copy the bin folder, libraries in the bin folder, and the data files, or running the install script outright and then manually copying over the data files for the time being. You can still use those scripts after the fact, but the bigger point here is the binaries and libraries we ship with the product can change to where eventually they won't work with each other. So we need to make sure they're also in sync.
All right. And our next question is from Andrea. She says, currently we plan to just copy data files. If you change the executables, will you be notifying the customer base?
We will currently run a quality assurance team internally to do our tests for release before each month, since we do offer the monthly and bi-monthly. They go through the same tests. If we identify a potential issue regarding the binaries changing, yes, we do notify our customer base in the email we send out. Normally we now have what's changed in this release and our email we send out. If you're not receiving those emails, please send a ticket into support@runner82.com. It is quite important you do receive those emails. But if anything does change, you will definitely notify the customer base and inform them to update the data files, binaries, and libraries.
Great. Now, David asks, he said, also, we are not running the CleanAdder WS, and we are just using the processes, and those need to be stopped separately.
Yes, in order for any of the libraries, executables, or data files to be taken into account, so once you change or update them, you definitely need to stop any running versions of CleanAddress. In the video, I showcased a command called pgrep. That is most notably on newer variations of Linux. That will put out a bunch of IDs or process IDs you could then kill. If you're running Windows, make sure you go through your services tab and make sure anything CleanAddress is stopped, and then go through Task Manager and make sure you don't see anything CleanAdder or CleanAddress in there. You cannot upgrade with the application running. The machine or the software will not take into effect the change until a restart. So it's very important you stop and then start after an install.
Awesome. So Andrea stated, she said, we had issues before Clean 5 where the batch process would kill a daemon with the install of Clean 5. That issue disappeared. Now that we took the first update, data files only, this issue is back. Any ideas?
Not off the top of my head. I would suggest you to submit a ticket to support@runner82.com and then have our more versatile support team take a look at it. I might be able to grab a hold of that ticket too and take a look at it. It sounds a bit odd, but like I said, I don't think anything off the top of my head that could cause that.
All right. So Bridget just said she believed we answered her question, and it was if bi-monthly updates can be applied to 4.5 or 5X. So I just want to, reiterate, yes, it can. So now we have our next question from Tony. He says, I run the copy_USPS and DPV download.cmd to update the data files, which reverts my 5.0 executables back to 4.5. Instead of running the installer.exe, could I just modify the copy_USPS_and_DPV clean_download.cmd to copy the new ones from the clean address USPS release 5.0 bin 64 to bin?
Yes, you can, and feel free to copy our scripts or modify and copy our scripts, but do keep in mind that if you modify them, you have to put them in a location where you can access them. If you're scripting your own deployment, installation, or updating of our software, we don't officially support it, but we will definitely be helping you guys, and if you guys support a ticket to support regarding any issues you get from that. So your question exactly, yes, you can have it set to where to copy from the release 5.0. In the future, we will be flipping that around to where 5.0 will be default in bin, and there'll be a release 4.5 for backwards compatibility. So keep in mind that will be notified in the emails for the monthly and bi-monthly updates. We want to make sure that that is, you keep track of that. So
Awesome. So our next question is from Rex. He says, my process is to run your sh_copy_postal_data.sh script. Is that still a good option?
again, those scripts are there for legacy reasons. I'm not 100% familiar with what they do internally. Normally, I just run the install and copy data files over. I would double check with a staging or a test machine before you go forward. The easier option is to follow what I showcased in the video, which is the installer, upgrade to 4.5 or 5.0, and then any extras moved over.
All right. So Rex said that his question has been answered. Thanks, and you're welcome. And so Penny asked, she said, if I've already updated to 5X or 5.0, what are the bi-monthly update steps?
If you've already upgraded to 5.0, please keep in mind we do release a new version of 5.0 each month, each bi-monthly and monthly release. There will be a new version in that release 5.0 folder. But if you're already running 5.0, you could just copy the data files over into the bin folder or into the data files folder and restart. But do keep in mind that the issue will still arise if the libraries we ship with it become out of sync with the data files. The easier solution is to run the installer and upgrade back to 5.0. Right now, the way we operate with 5.0, it is an opt-in solution, not a opt-out. So you have to opt in to getting 5.0 installed, which means you got to install it. In the future, like I said, that will change. So.
Awesome. Our next question is from Seth. He said, will there be a document on updating the data files and DPV files using the install script?
Yes, there will be. I'm currently still editing and drafting that document, but that will be published on our support portal at support.runreadyq.com.
All right. And so Penny says, my old notes to do bi-monthly updates say to run the copy_postal_data.sh script, then clean zip. I'm still confused. I just heard that the total install is safer than the copy_postal_data.sh script. But you also said not to run the install if I'm already at 5.0.
Yes and no. It is an opt-in solution for 5.0. You need to opt in to use it. We default to 4.5. The install script will default to 4.5 currently. In the future, in the very near future, we intend to not have it overwrite executables if it finds a 5.0. It is much safer to run the install script for the pure fact that if the library files change and we don't detect any issues on our end, or we don't see it go through our QA properly, and then it gets shoved up to the customers, if you guys run that and only have the data files updated and the libraries change along the data files, you get undocumented errors and weird issues and potential seg faults and crashes. It's very important to keep the data files and the libraries in a synchronized fashion. So that means every month you would update it, every bi-monthly, depending on your update rate. It is far safer to do the install for the pure fact that it does all that for you.
All right. So our next question is from Andres, and he said, is copying the contents of the bin 64 into bin still part of the update process in 5.0 or 5X?
It depends if you do the automated install, which you saw me do, or the manual install. If you're running the automated install, it will detect the bittiness of your currently installed executable. So if you're running 4.5 32-bit, it'll detect that you're running a 32-bit install, and it'll copy over the 32-bit files. But if you're running a 64-bit variation, it'll do the same. If you're doing a manual install, you'll need to pull it from the proper bin or bittiness folder, pretty much.
All righty. And Shane mentioned, are we going to cover the clean update, as that was mentioned in the webinar invite as an automated method for applying the update?
The clean updates project we have currently going on is meant to automate all of this. I wasn't actually brief to do that. I'm currently the lead of that project, so we're still taking out some deep ends on our end for that. Ideally, that software will essentially just run as an agent on your machine, and it will constantly check for updates, pull them down, and stage them into testing, and then push them into production. And it's meant to be a simple fire forget, don't have to worry about updating our software, but right now it is still in the early stages of development. So.
All right, and I just want to mention that I noticed that there's also some questions that some guys submitted via Q&A versus chat. So after we cover the chat, we have one more in the chat. I'm going to go through those questions that are that you guys submitted via Q&A. So Penny says, so in a nutshell, the answer is to run install and then copy all the release _ 5.0 bin 64 files into my bin directory. I'm still not sure what CleanZip is doing. Should I still run it?
Again, to cover your particular case, you can do the manual installation of 5.0. This is all covered in the documentation for the 5.0 README. There's a TXT file and an HTML file in there. And we also have articles on our support portal for this. But yes, you have it right. Again, the CleanZip is primarily just to make sure everything is running. You don't have to run CleanZip. We do recommend you run a clean utility of some sort. Now, in the video, I ran CleanAdder WS, which is our web service, just to make sure that we had the right version, that it had the right build numbers, and that it actually ran. I could do the same thing with CleanFile, CleanZip, CleanAdder or CleanWS. It wouldn't really matter which one I picked. I just picked CleanAdder WS because I'm more familiar with it. In your case, if you are more familiar with CleanZip, feel free to use CleanZip. CleanFile, feel free to use CleanFile. So.
All righty, so that was the last question that I saw via the chat box. I am now going to move over to the questions that were submitted via Q&A. So Andres asked if we could send him the recording to his email address. And just so you guys know, there will be an instant replay sent out after this presentation. So everyone that registered and attend the presentation and those who couldn't attend will all receive a link to view this recorded webinar. So Christina stated, she said, I have upgraded to 5.0. I installed the monthly update. Now I am concerned it reverted me back to 4.5. How can I check?
In the video, you saw me run clean address web service interactively, meaning I ran it from a command prompt and then Control-C it. You would do the same, essentially. If you're concerned or worried that it may have downgraded you back to 4.5, you would just run the executable in a CMD prompt if you're Windows or in a terminal in Linux. And we, by default, print out the version header, or the version and the build date as the first line in clean address. So if you're concerned about going back to 4.5, you'll see clean address 4.5.0. If you're running 5.0, you'll see clean address 5.0 point whatever minor we have that month. In this case, it was 5.04. So you would essentially have to manually check for the time being.
So Susan asks, if we are using version 4.5 and not planning to upgrade to version 5X, could we just update the data files only for the bi-monthly update?
Yes and no. Again, because of the way the libraries that we ship, the shared libraries or shared objects, and the data files are bound or coupled in a code sense, you could do that and it could work, and then next month it might not work. We recommend you update the library files, shared objects libraries, and the data files alongside the executable every time you get an update, just so you get the most recent of all of them, because we can confirm that those copies of files work together. We do have a QA system internally that does tests for this, but we've had a couple of issues where it didn't properly pop up on our machines, and we're still trying to figure out exactly why what's happening. But for going forward, just update the libraries, shared objects, and data files alongside everything else. It's just a safer bet, so you will have less risks of odd issues and production down issues and support tickets in queue, that kind of thing.
Awesome. All righty, so Yin asks, do we need to upgrade clean address to 5.0 if we are running Oracle 12?
So there are two different versions of Oracle 12 which are relating to the database. 12.1, 4.5 and 5.0 support. 12.2, 5.0 supports. 4.5 does not work on that. And to my knowledge, 18C will work with both 4.5 and 5.0. Last time we have checked, I do believe we have a ticket running for that right now, so we need to double check that internally. If you're running 12.2, you need to use 5.0. If you're running 12.1, you can use 5.0 or 4.5. But we recommend 5.0 because it's better than 4.5 right now. It's more performance, better performance and better compatibility with a lot of stuff. So.
Right. So Syntax, we are still running start_cleanadder.sh and not start_cleanadder.ws.sh. What is the difference between them? Okay,
so we have a couple of clean utilities. We named, I haven't named them, CleanFile, CleanAdder-D, CleanAdder-WS, CleanZip. CleanAdder-D is the daemon for Oracle. That one connects to an Oracle database and uses, I believe, name pipes that communicate with the Oracle database as a first in, first out solution. WS is the RESTful SOAP-based web service. Depending if you're running integration or building your own or using a variation of whatever you have in your internal systems, we usually set up your machine for either D or WS. For example, for yours, you probably are running an Oracle database somewhere, probably some kind of integration, utilizing it. It could be PeopleSoft, could be EBS, could be JD Edwards, whichever it is. If it's an Oracle DB, we connect to it using DB or D. If it's something that doesn't quite have an Oracle database, for example, PeopleSoft plus SQL Server, we utilize the web services and make RESTful SOAP calls to that. That script that I used to only run, it just launches that version of CleanAddress. So I could replace that with CleanAdder-D. It would launch CleanAdder-D by itself. It's nothing entirely different between the two, apart from just how they connect and communicate with the integrations you currently have installed.
Awesome. So Kareem asks, we are on 5.0. Should we use start_cleanadder.ws.sh and install.sh instead of start_cleanadder.d.sh and copy_postal_data.sh?
Going forward, we intend to have the install.sh do all the installation side of it, and then you can just launch it using the start_your version of cleanadress.sh. Feel free to do what you currently are doing with it, but going forward, those copy data file scripts will be removed from the release. They are for legacy purposes, and they complicate the install process more than anything in most cases.
All right. So our last question via the Q&A is from Hal, and he said, do we need to run cleanzip.exe to update clean_postal_code table with changes?
I'm not 100% familiar with that question. If you can you please submit a support ticket to support@runneredq.com so we can have a more suited person to take a look at that. I'm not 100% familiar with the Oracle DB side of things. I'm more familiar with the builds and the web services kind of thing. So.
All righty. So I'm going to go back to our chat box. I see that Teresa asked, so whether you are using manual or automated processes in Windows, the step to move from bin 64 to bin is required?
If you're currently installing 4.5 on a Windows machine, yes, the manual step is required. Going forward, the GUI installer we're going to be shipping with Windows will detect based on your current platform if you should be running 64 or 32-bit. So yes, the upgrade to 5.0 on Windows will detect the bittiness of your current installed application and then install the right one there for that. So for example, again, if you're running a CleanAddress install of 4.5 64-bit and you run the Windows installer, it will find out you're running a 64-bit version of CleanAddress and copy over the correct version of CleanAddress for that platform, for that install. If you're running a 32-bit one, it'll do the same. It does error out if you have a weird hybrid mix between 32 and 64, which shouldn't happen in normal installs. In that case, you'll need to do a manual install, which the documentation, which is included in the 5.0 release and is also on our support panel, cover as well.
All righty. So Doug stated, it's good that we are having this webinar and that we are working to simplify this process. He said, as we can see, the current situation is a mess and our customers are rather confused. It's surprising that we have made this process so complicated when the updates don't seem to really require anything more than manually copying new files from bin or bin 64 to bin and data to data. But the instructions don't say that, and they are a lot more complicated than seems necessary. I'm going to just interject here, being the customer success manager, and say that we've actually heard that from our customer base loud and clear, and hence this webinar. We are really working hard on updating all documentation so that the steps are simplified for installs and this process, bi-monthly process, as well as other services that we offer. So do take note that we are hearing you guys loud and clear, and we are working diligently toward processes that will make all parts of our software and our product more simplistic and easier for you guys to understand as well as operate. So Ken said, when running the 5.0 upgrade, is a log created, and if so, where can it be found?
To my knowledge, the Linux installer does create a log. It should be in the root of the release 5.0 file. If not, you could always take a look at the script and see exactly what it's doing. Ideally, all that the 5.0, actually, I know all that the 5.0 installer does is it detects the bittiness and moves files over. It also creates a zip file in the bin directory with the old version of 4.5. That's just for backwards compatibility, so it can be removed. For Windows, the log file is outputted to the installer screen itself. I don't believe it's saved anywhere. So if that's a request or a feature you want to see added into the installer, please feel free to submit a ticket to support@runneredq.com. It's asking you want to see it in the installer, and I can definitely shove a Jira ticket in for our developers, and they can get to that.
All righty, so Andres asks, does the global proxy web address for international addresses change in 5X?
I'm not 100% familiar with what you're asking about there. If you can, please submit a support ticket at runneredq.com or support@runneredq.com, and I'll have a more certified person take a look at that. I do believe our core developer deals with that more than me. So.
Right. So Teresa says thanks, and we're going to just say give a shout out and say you're welcome. So Wimping asks, we have Linux 32-bit upgraded to 5X. Are we good?
If your bittiness of your platform and the bittings of the executable match, you should be fine. If you're running a Linux 32-bit platform, I do recommend you upgrade to a 64-bit Linux platform if possible or foreseeable, for the pure fact that 32-bit is kind of dying out. But that's a side note on it. As long as your bittiness matches with the one you're getting downloads and release install for, you should be fine.
All righty. So Ken just responded and said that he was referencing Windows, which you did answer in your response. And Andres, regarding the global web proxy, he said, okay, he'll go ahead and submit a ticket. Chad asked that we send a recording to a specific email address. Chad, if you register with that email address, you will automatically get a link to this recording shortly. Probably in about an hour or so, we'll send that out to the actual whole customer base. If you didn't register with that email, don't worry, I wrote down your email address to ensure that a link is sent to the email address you placed in the chat box.
All right, Misty, so we have reached our limit. I believe we're almost done. Alon, you've got one more question to answer here.
All righty, so we got one more question from Trinae. We are running Clean Adder 5.05 and Linux 64-bit Oracle 11GR2. We are upgrading to 12.2 Oracle. Do we have to have links to the new libcleantsh.so.11.1 to 12 Lin?
Okay, so that's a bit of an in-depth question, but I can give a very general overview of it because we have very short time right now. We build our application against the Instant Client 10.1, and 5.0 also built against that. So technically what you're doing there is you're just letting the application find due to Oracle issues. Yes, you would need to upgrade the link to point to the new 12 underscore, whatever that particular version of Oracle ships with, but the application will still be requesting or looking for 10_2 or 11.1 or whichever that one's currently dealing with. As long as you make sure that the clean address installation is supported for that version of Oracle DB, you should be fine. If you have any other questions regarding that, please submit a ticket to support@runneredq.com with a bit more information on your upgrade process and plans, so we can have a more suited person chime in with more information regarding that.
All righty, we have one more. Oh, Susan asked for her, put in her email address to be submitted that recording, and we definitely got you on file, Susan. Carol said, in the past years, we received the email with the files on the 15th of the month. For the past few years, we have no idea when the files are coming in. They are coming in near the end of the month now. It is hard to plan.
That is a little bit on my head regarding it, considering when I first came on, I started doing the automation of the builds and whatnot. So that means we compile create the zips, compress them, and upload them to our Amazon bucket for customer consumption. The process that we've been using for compiling and for compressing has matured heavily over the past year or so. Primarily the holdup is just QA. We want to have a lot more quality assurance in our application, and it's just really difficult with the amount of platforms we're currently supporting. So we're trying our best to improve the process as we're going forward, and we're going to be opening up communication when updates do become late and that kind of thing. You know, if you have any other issues regarding that, please submit a ticket at runneradq.com, and we can definitely try to alleviate or help some pains with it. We do have a couple of extra, normally with customers like that, we usually give them a longer data file key so they can get around the expiry month, all that kind of stuff. So if you have any crucial production systems that require this, submit the ticket. We'll be glad to take a look at it, see if you're fitted or suited to do that kind of thing.
All righty, so those are all our questions and answers.
All right, sounds great. I really appreciate you guys sticking around this long, and thank you very much for, again, being valued customers here at Runner. I know that you guys have taken your time out of your busy day to learn more about our processes here. And again, as I believe Doug mentioned in our chat, that we have had it become rather complicated, and hopefully this simplified some of the processes that you may be dealing with, and of course, trying to transition this process to be much smoother for you in the very near future. And again, as Tristan mentioned, if you have anything specific regarding your install or with regards to some of the problems that you may be experiencing, please feel free to submit a ticket to support@RunnerEDQ, which you see at the very bottom right here of our closing slide. And again, if you need to call, please feel free to give us a call. We'll be here to answer any of the questions that you may have. Again, our customer staff is led, our customer success team is led by Misty and her team, and there's always someone here to answer the questions that you might have. And again, our job here is to make sure that you are always in production, and of course, that's the goal here at Runner, is to make sure that customer satisfaction is 100%. So again, thank you very much for joining us. You will be receiving a recording of this webinar in its entirety. Hopefully we have answered any of the questions you may have, and some of the folks that got here late, or some of the folks that mentioned that we may have gone too fast, you'll be able to listen to it at your leisure, stop it, pause it, and of course absorb the information that's provided. And again, I'm going to reiterate one more time that if you have any specific questions that weren't answered in this particular webinar, feel free to reach out to us. That's what we're here for, to definitely accommodate and support your needs as part of our solution package. So again, on behalf of the team at Runner EDQ, I would like to thank you again for joining us, and have a great day.